Hi there. In this video, I will offer the answers to some interesting questions related to different TV devices. The questions I will talk about are, why is the lifespan of LED TVs many times shorter than LCD TVs? What are the advantages of LED TVs in addition to all its disadvantages? Why is the manifestation of backlight failure on the TV generation until 2017 a dark screen, and on generations after 2017 a blue image? How can settings in the user menu extend the life of a LED TV? What exactly changes when we talk about the electrical characteristics by changing the settings in the user menu? And how can it affect the picture quality? Why the refresh rate data of 1200, 1300 Hz cannot be measured nor recorded? And is that really the realistic data? The answers to these questions cannot be found in TV marketing presentations, nor in technical documentation. There is one way that will lead us to the desired answers, and that is by specifically measuring the form of supply voltage of LEDs in LED TVs. The operating principle of the current generation of LED TVs consists of an LCD matrix display that generates the image content as a filter for light from a background light source. The simplest way to understand the working principle of LCD and LED TVs is to interpret it as an analogy with enlightened photography. The only difference between an LCD and an LED TV is in the backlight source. The backlight of the LCD TV is in the form of a CCFL lamp, neon tubes, while the LED TV has blue LEDs as a light source. When we look at an LCD TV, its CCFL lamps have a very thick layer of phosphorus on their walls that can shine continuously for more than 10 years without significantly changing the quality of light nor image. This information tells us that the durability of LCD TVs is much higher than the durability of LED TVs. LEDs in LED TVs emit blue monochromatic light whose only function is to give the initial light that will cause the excitation of the layer of phosphor applied to the diodes themselves, and by its silent combustion we get the emission of white light needed to generate a quality image. In practice, it has been confirmed that the lifespan of this method of illumination is many times shorter. The LED backlight still has two technological advantages. The first one is the energy efficiency, and the other one, more important to us, is the feature that LEDs can be turned on and off in a short time, even hundreds of times per second, which was not possible with LCD technology based on CCFL lamps, where it took several seconds for the CCFL lamp to turn on and work steadily. This advantage of LED backlighting was used as soon as the LED TV appeared, in such a way that the analysis of the content of a single frame image does not illuminate the black details locally. More precisely, the LED in the background of dark details of one image does not light up. This way, a significantly better level of black was obtained, as well as the better contrast and the real optical contrast. This had been used on a generation of TVs sold at very high prices, with so-called EOL and IOP panels, which stands for Integrated Optical Lens and Integrated Optical Plate. Neither one is in commercial use anymore. However, on the newer generation of LED TVs, which is more poor, the one we use today, this advantage, the ability to turn on and off the LED in a small time frame, is still used, although in a different way. The LEDs turn on and off at more than 100 times per second, resulting in periods without the light, so-called the black frames, that significantly reduce image blur at high speeds. This is a very useful feature, that brings the significant improvement in the moving image's quality. To see what it really looks like, we connected the 2013 generation LED TV to an oscilloscope and a digital instrument that we use here as a frequency meter. We see that the LEDs are supplied with a one-way precession of rectangular pulses. The frequency of this precession is 100 Hz, and the form is completely regular. The special attention should be paid to the vertical lines, which in this case are entirely vertical, meaning that they project the distance of 0 on the time basis. This means that the time required to turn the LED off and on is equal to 0, and that the current LED response is expected. This power supply is designed with the intention so that the LED diode provides such light effect. However, this of course is not realistic, and not entirely possible. Physically, the LED cannot respond at the speed of electrical excitation. It takes some time for the optical response. In order to provide at least the approximate excitation by the LED, the layer of phosphorus on it needs to be thin. A thicker layer of phosphorus would be more inert, and would not be able to turn on quick enough. It would be also unable to cool down and turn off quickly enough. So that's the main reason why the layer of phosphorus on the LEDs is thin, explaining why the lifespan of the TV's LED is shorter. This means that taking the advantage of LEDs has caused the shorter lifespan of LED TVs as a side effect. We can now see how changing the backlight setting changes the pulse width at which the diodes are turned on or off. Changing the backlight level does not change the voltage level, but only the pulse width, and the power that turns the LED lights up is proportional to the surface of the conductive part of the pulse. The simple form allows us to calculate and estimate the value even without using the integrals. When the backlight level is increased, we see that the turn-off pulse decreases, becomes narrower, and when it is increased to the maximum, it completely disappears. With such settings, the power supply is strictly one way. It is a straight line. The frequency on the instrument is of course equal to 0, because there is no switch-off pulse. There is also no backlight blinking, no black frames, no improvement in picture quality with fast movements, no periods when the LED cools down, so the lifespan of the TV is the shortest and the picture quality is the weakest. This is the reason why this setting should be avoided, even though unfortunately these are the factory settings. If we reduce the backlight by just one level, there will be a pause in the cooling of the LED, some black frame will also appear, and this setting will significantly extend the device lifespan. Of course, it is recommended that this reduction be at least 20% of the maximum. If we, in an example, set the backlight to level 15, you can be sure that your TV will last longer for a third of its regular lifespan with the factory settings, and the picture quality will not deteriorate. On this generation of TVs, there is another setting that is a bit hidden in the submenu. Located in Picture Mode, Picture Options, Motion Plus set to Custom and LED Clear Motion. This option can be turned on or off. When this option is turned on, the switch-off pulse is complete, the LED goes out to 0, the effect of reducing blur at fast movements is maximum. But the LED pause is also the longest, so the overall light level is significantly lower. If the light level is sufficient for you with such settings, the lifespan of your device would be many times longer than with the factory default settings. However, if the ambient lighting conditions are such that this setting does not suit you, you still have the option to adjust the backlight level that you should not miss. No matter which backlight adjustment option you choose, you can always adjust the contrast and brightness in the user menu. Changing the brightness level and contrast in the user menu is done on the matrix of the display and does not affect in any way the current of the LEDs, or the durability of the TV. By changing only the backlight level setting in the user menu, the LED pulse width and the lifespan of the LED TV would change. We can see this once again in a closer view. The most important thing is that we never set the backlight to the maximum of 100%, because we have excluded the most important advantage of LED TVs, and that is the possibility of intermittent backlighting. This second group of instruments is connected to the newer TVs of the 2018 generation, and here we can see a procession of regular DC pulses with a higher frequency of 300 Hz. Thanks to the improved power supply, the picture is even better with fast movements, and the cooling breaks are significantly longer. Does this mean that there will be no interruption of the PN junction of the LEDs on the newer devices? Yes, it does. And does that also mean that on newer TVs, the LED lighting does not need to be changed? The answer is no. This is a bit confusing, but there is a reasonable explanation for that too. The new generation with a higher frequency of 300 Hz requires an even faster phosphorus response than the generation powered by 100 Hz, so the phosphorus layer is even thinner. The increased total cooling time of the diode and the reduced layer of phosphorus made the diode itself last even longer and almost never interrupts the PN junction of the diode, but the phosphorus layer will be consumed. This brought a new mass appearance of a completely blue image. So, the manifestation of a failure in newer TVs is not the absence of an image. The image is present, but it is in blue color. This image is a consequence of the complete consumption of phosphorus, while the LEDs still generate their monochromatic blue light. The changes occur gradually, often locally on a part of the screen. It is necessary to notice even the smallest changes in the image towards blue in time and react immediately. The TV that emits blue light should be switched off as soon as possible due to the harmful effects of this blue light on a human eye. The frequency of this blue light is very close to the ultraviolet light, widely used in the food industry for sterilization of packaged foils, or for the water disinfection purposes in the swimming pools. In China, the banknotes are regularly sterilized with this light, and it is also to fight the COVID virus, in the hospitals, and so on. This area of the solar spectrum is incredibly stressful for any living organism. You can read about the way that this light damages the eye on the websites of many ophthalmologists, where the glasses with a protective layer against the blue light, the so-called blue cut, are widely suggested and offered for purchase. The reason why this light color is used to illuminate LED TVs is the energy efficiency. Of course, the monochromatic light is used, especially the one with the highest frequency, because the emission of blue and ultraviolet light generates the lowest level of the heat radiation. In the opposite part of the solar spectrum, we'll find the red and infrared sunlight, emitting very significant heat, and less light. It is important not to wait for the image to turn completely blue, but to contact the repair service and the retailer to have the device replaced immediately upon detecting even the slightest level of the blue light. On the newer devices, we were able to measure the frequency of 350 Hz, but until the beginning of 2020 we had not found a single TV with the higher backlight flicker frequency. So why is there an inscription 800 Hz, 1200 Hz or 1300 Hz on the marketing presentations of the technical characteristics of the TV devices, even on the packaging of these devices? In order for something like this to be written next to the characteristic of the TV or on its packaging, there is always a three-letter abbreviation in brackets, such as MCI, BMR, CMR, or similar. This abbreviation reveals the index that of combining two ways to increase the refresh rate of the image, and with their processing, you get the effect as if the frequency is 1200 Hz or 1300 Hz, which means that this frequency is not something that can be realistically measured. One of these methods is the described method of backlight blinking of 300 or 350 Hz. while the other one is the old way of inserting the additional frames created by the approximation. So, for the frequency of 100 Hz for this old way, it was necessary to insert one created image between two realistically taken, and for 200 Hz even 3 created images, for 600 Hz 11 artificially created, non-existent images. This method significantly deviates from the original image taken by the camera. More precisely, significantly impairs the image quality. This tells us that the index means that the combination of these two factors and their processing gives the effect as if the refresh rate was 1200 or 1300 Hz. This is why this cannot be measured. So, the large number has only the marketing purpose at the moment, and should not be taken as the exact information on the image quality. Whether the further development of LED technology and micro-LED technology will enable the higher real frequencies, has yet to be seen. Thanks for your attention. My name is Sztr Tv. I am the owner of the TV repair service Tv Spektar in Novi Sad in Serbia. Feel free to submit your comments below, and have a great day.